In this video I'm going to talk about making a tripod extension that you can use to extend the threads on a tripod mount. For instance, with this Ricoh Theta, you can't access the ports while it's on a tripod because the ports are on the bottom side of the mount. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this so then you can access these ports. In order to do that, you're going to need some sort of threaded rod. I'm using 3-inch bolts, and these are 1/4 inch with a 20 count thread. This is a coupling nut, and then also it doesn't hurt to use a wing nut too. So what we need to do is cut the head off of this bolt so we essentially have a short threaded rod. To do that, I'm going to use a vise here. You don't want to damage the thread, so you can just use any kind of wood to protect your threads. To cut this off, I'm going to use a Dremel tool with a cutoff wheel. You can also use a hacksaw, a grinder, any other type of tool. After you cut this off, you're going to have a burr, so I'm just going to use this sandpaper drum attachment to kind of clean this up a little bit. Now this is going to be hot after you do that. This isn't really a tutorial on safety though, so know how to use these tools if you're going to use them. Now I'll try and thread this in my coupling nut. If this doesn't thread in easily, you can use something like a wing nut or just any other kind of nut and run it all the way from the good end that you didn't cut up to the cut end, and you can use it to reform the threads on the bolt. Just like that. But these actually cleaned up pretty good. So next I'm going to thread this into the coupling nut. It doesn't really matter how far you thread that in. It seems to go in pretty good, so now I'm going to back it out, and I'm going to put some super glue on this. I have super glue on the thread. Now I'm going to thread it into the coupling nut. Okay. And now I'll just let that dry. Okay, now that that's dried, and if you don't have super glue, you can also use epoxy, or you could use white glue even, probably, I don't know. We're going to put the wing nut on. It's going to put it on backwards. And now we have our extension. And we take our tripod adapter and we thread that on there. I have the nut on the bottom I can tighten. And now I'll take the Ricoh Theta, move the vise out of the way here. And I'll thread that on the bottom. And you can more or less bottom the threads out. You don't want to wrench this down and break anything. And then you just run your wing nut up. You don't have to tighten this super tight. And you also want to make sure your wing nut is not getting in the way of your ports, so you can adjust the threading on this such that that's not occurring. And now we have access to the HDMI and the USB ports, and you can mount that on your tripod, so you can plug that in to charge it or offload things. whatever works well. So other options here, any sort of quarter 20 thread will work. Instead of a wing nut here, you could just use a regular nut. You don't have to tighten it very tight, so you could just take a quarter 20 nut and just tighten it with your fingers. You could use one of the little thumb nuts that you get on certain adapters, things like that. So that's how you make a threaded tripod adapter. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I'll also link down below to my 360 playlist if you want to see some of the videos and sets that I've shot with my Theta camera. So thanks for watching. Bye.